President William Samoei Ruto has decided to actualize the Butere Girls play, The Echoes of War. After dramatic scenes where the police was sent to intimidate and harass the innocent students by throwing tear gas, not giving them quality time and space and a very pacifying environment to stage their play. After arresting Malala and locking him up so that he could not direct the play, this time round, William Samoei Ruto has sought for another enemy. And this time round, William Ruto is fighting the media, to be very precise, the Standard Group. And this war is going to cost William Samoei Ruto, because I have a feeling that he is biting more than he can chew. Now, ladies and gentlemen, briefly, this is what is happening. The Standard Media was launched in 1902. How many of you were born? Now, the Standard has always kept and been very faithful and honest to its role to entertain, to educate, and to inform. You've known the Standard Group from time immemorial for giving us bold headlines, criticizing the government where it's supposed to be criticized. The Standard Group has entertained us and informed us. But due to the economic, constraints that the country has gone through, the Standard Group fell into some debt, accrued some debt to the government in form of a license fee to the tune of 48 million Kenya shillings. So in December last year, the Standard Media sat down and had a mutual agreement with the Communication Authority of Kenya. And they agreed that they were to deposit 10 million Kenya shillings and then follow it up with another 24 million Kenya shillings. Then they also agreed that they will be depositing 2.5 million Kenya shillings every month. But the Standard Group decided to increase that figure. Instead of depositing 2.5 million Kenya shillings, they decided to increase that figure to 4 million Kenya shillings. And they're saying they have obeyed their part of the bargain. Now, to their utter shock, the Communication Authority, through their Director General David Mugonyi, made a very quick and ridiculous U-turn and issued a notice revoking all the licenses of the Standard Media Group. Now, it is very shocking that as they were revoking or trying to revoke the licenses of the Standard Media Group, the Kenyan government owes Standard Group a whopping 1.2 billion Kenya shillings that has accrued from advertisement from government agencies. Do that calculation. The government owes the Standard Media Group 1.2 billion Kenya shillings. But the Standard Media Group owes the government of Kenya 48 million Kenya shillings. Then the government acts by moving to revoke the Standard Media Group licenses. No one puts it better than the Standard Group itself. And I want you to listen to this very short information that gives us insight just exactly as to what happened that has led to the government attempting to intimidate the Standard Media Group. This video is courtesy of the Standard Media Group and they have all the rights. Kindly take a look, and even as we do that, allow me to request you to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell. Please don't forget to like and share these videos. Kindly take a look.
The Communications Authority, through a letter by the Director General David Mugonyi, has gone ahead and disregarded a payout plan of a debt of 43 million shillings as regulatory fees that had been signed and agreed upon in December last year. only for them to send a notice revoking the licenses. According to the company's chief executive editor, Chacha Mwita, the government is using the debt issue to muzzle the company, which of late has been exposing the ills in the Kenya Kwanza administration led by President William Ruto. Chris Thyro reports.
Since its inception in 1902, the Standard Group has widely been recognized for its bold and fearless reporting and media practices. This includes its commitment to delivering impactful journalism, even when facing challenges or criticism. However, due to the harsh economic challenges, the company accrued a debt of 48 million shillings, money owed to the Communication Authority of Kenya as license fee. In December last year, the company and CA signed an agreement on the payout plan with a commitment to start paying the debt. The same month, the company deposited 10 million shillings with a promise of an additional 24 million shillings once the rights issue is finalized. Further, the company agreed a monthly repayment structure of 2.5 million shillings starting January this year. However, the company went further and increased the payout plan to 4 million shillings per month, which has been honored to date.
Anything outside of that smacks of ill will and malice, and we have no option but to fight it.
But to the dismay of the company, the Communications Authority of Kenya made an abrupt about turn, and through a letter dated 9th April this year and signed by the Director General David Mugonyi, issued a notice to revoke all the broadcasting licenses issued to the Standard Group. Despite having a clear payout plan and having honored the monthly payment and even increased from 2.5 million shillings to 4 million shillings.
We have moved to the tribunal to ask for an injunction against the publication of the threatened Gazette notice to revoke all our broadcast licenses. And we think that this is an attempt to gag the media.
The Communications Authority claims that nothing has been honored. The Standard Group has of late been exposing all the ills bedeviling the Kenya Kwanza administration, something that the powers that be have not been comfortable with the truth.
So the truth of the matter is that there is no question of stepping down or increasing pressure, or it is something that I always say that what we publish and carry is the reality of the day. So if the reality changes, of course the reality of those headlines and the reality of those stories will change. We are not going to back down. We are not going to report things that are not the reality just to make some people happy.
Ironically, the government owes the Standard Group more than 1.2 billion shillings, being money accrued from advertisements from government agencies and county governments.
This is one of the strangest things about this case, because the government owes us over 1.2 billion Kenya shillings, and what the Communication Authority is asking from us is something in the region of 48 million, a figure we dispute because we have significantly brought it down since we entered this payment plan.
From the bold and better headlines on the Standard newspaper to the objective and authoritative news reporting in both radio and TV, it is clear that the Kenya Kwanza administration is out to gag the very media that is responsible for informing and educating the public on what's happening around the world, and more so what this regime is up to.
We will fight to the hilt, and we really hope that all institutions of goodwill, including the tribunal, will side with us.
It is not the first time that the government has tried to muzzle the Standard Group. Last month, the government, through the then Broadcasting Principal Secretary, Edward Kisiangani, cancelled the Standard Group's media contract with the Ministry of Irrigation due to its critical coverage. Despite the Standard Group having been selected among other media houses to run a campaign for the launch of the National Irrigation Sector Investment Plan, the contract with the Standard Group was cancelled at the 11th hour. The government has also been sponsoring bloggers to taint the image of the company on social media platforms, including generating fake headlines and even threatening journalists from the Standard.
We completely stand firm with our audiences. and we tell them that KTN is their destination for news and information, and so is the Standard newspaper. And please do not also hesitate to check us out on the website and on other digital offerings.
The Standard Group remains committed in paying the outstanding debt as agreed with the Communications Authority of Kenya. Chris Dairo, KTN, Nairobi.
Well, we continue to stand firm with our audiences.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that William Ruto, the president of Kenya, is actualizing that play. Ever since Malala wrote that play, the president has really played it better using its agencies, throwing tear gas to schoolgirls, arresting Malala, intimidating people around. So this time around, they have picked a war with the Standard Media Group. Now, let me tell you something. I knew we were going to attract such controversies because of one thing. Immediately, Rigathi Gachagua and the former Attorney General J.B. Muturi came out with very shocking exposé, telling Kenyans just how difficult the government is, just how corrupt the president is, with deals that are being signed at the airport and billions of shillings that are wasted. I knew that the government would do something very ridiculous to ensure that we don't talk about what Gachagua said, neither do we even remember what J.B. Muturi said. And that is what started when they were intimidating Malala. All the headlines, all the attention turned from Gachagua to J.B. Muturi to what they had said into now the Butere Girls saga. And this is the continuation, because what Rigathi Gachagua said was very shocking, because he even said, I recorded the president. Now, they knew Kenyans were going to ask, why did you invite Rigathi Gachagua to the DCI headquarters or the NIS and all that? They used to intimidate Rigathi Gachagua. They have not done that to date because they knew there's a lot of truth in what Gachagua was saying. So the only way to extinguish that fire was to bring in something else that is very sensational. No wonder these kind of headlines are what they are trying to do. So they want to divert people's attention, but Kenyans will not allow them. Number two, I want you to look at some of these headlines, especially after the drama about Malala and the Butere girls. The Standard Group was even adding petrol into the already fierce fire. Some of the headlines, one of the headlines was echoes of oppression. And the Standard, the Standard newspaper explained just how oppressive this government has become. They were intimidating Malala, intimidating the school girls, intimidating the principal, intimidating the teacher in charge of drama, everything. So the Standard Group was exposing all this, and I think some of these headlines did not really sit well with the government. So they are trying to oppress. They are continuing the oppression because Standard said this is the echoes of oppression. They are continuing and perpetuating this oppression now to the Standard. And they want to intimidate the Standard maybe so that the Standard can cooperate with them. You know what the government always wants is that before you write a headline, before you give a story, then you would ask the government agencies. And one person who I don't really understand is the PS in this ministry. He was really a very good man. But once you have been given such dockets, then you turn out to be very, very wild. So they want the Standard to cooperate. Anybody or anything that is trying to expose the government, to enlighten the public, is an enemy to the government. Unasikianga wanasema fasihi ni kioo cha jamii. They expose, they show what is happening. And that's exactly what they want to do. The Standard, just like any other media group, has been exposing the government, going to the deepest, the rock bottom of explanation, giving very hard headlines. So they either want the Standard to cooperate or to quit, to be intimidated completely so that they start giving half-baked reports of government issues, corruption, abductions, wastage, and that is exactly what they are saying. But if you listen to their director there, the executive director, Mwita Chacha, they're explaining that they won't be cowed, they won't be intimidated, they will stick to their standards. Number two, the moment a media group or they launch a war at the media, then they want us to be deprived of information. There are things that we will not hear. There are things that we will not be privy to if the standard group and all the media group are intimidated. They want to deprive us of the freedom to information. Number two, this is a message to the other media group, maybe the Citizen, Nation Media. Once they've started with standard, if they succeed in doing this, then they will go to the next level. They will start regulating. They want NTV, they want Citizen to look at what is happening so that they can also feel, oh, tukiendelea hivi, hata sisi, they will revoke our licenses. And that is what they want to do. I saw this immediately after 2022 when William Ruto was sworn in and Raila led a group of the Azimio supporters to the streets, and they were exposing how the government was using excessive force and unleashing police brutality to those who are demonstrating. They started intimidating them. I remember at some point the Speaker of the National Assembly barred certain journalists from covering the proceedings in Parliament. So these are the kind of things that they want to do. And I'm really saddened by our country, because the moment we want to wage a war with journalists, with the media, then we are doomed as a country. You've seen how journalists are being beaten when they are doing their live coverage, as if, in fact, they are carrying press cards. They are renowned journalists, but they're still beaten, intimidated, because the freedom of the media, the freedom of expression is something that the government still feels cannot take place in our country. So this attempt to gag the media is something that all Kenyans must rally behind the media, and we must stand firm, because slowly they will be doing this. Before we know it, we are all doomed. I can only imagine when we live in darkness, because the moment the media has been gagged, then we live in darkness. But I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, you can intimidate or even kill the messenger, but you cannot kill the message. They must be starting with the standard, then they will go to the social media. You've seen how they are saying that there is an abuse of the social media, TikTok, maybe Instagram, X space. So they will, I want you to imagine if they succeed in shutting down the standard media group, then what will happen to social media? Then it means that there will be very limited source of information or half-baked. The other thing that we're looking at is the fact that when you shut down the standard media group, then standard employs several people, and then in an environment where unemployment rate has really skyrocketed, then you deprive people, you render people jobless. And I know the standard is struggling. Some of their employees have not been paid, but if the employees themselves have not resigned, then why do you shut down? Because you are perpetuating unemployment in this country. We have a problem with this government because we've known that several companies have shut down. Some of them have quit their operations in the country, and they have moved to the other countries due to harsh economic environment, harsh regulations like taxes, high taxes. So even the very little that we have, the standard group are being targeted. This is being short-sighted because the government is now looking at their side very selfishly. They want to intimidate because of the headlines. They want to intimidate the Standard and the other media stations because of exposing the truth. But they're forgetting that there are people who are employed there. Even in the social media, there are people who are just earning by TikTok, YouTube, and all that. If you shut that down, then you are adding to the number of already jobless people. Does William Ruto understand just how shaky and precarious his position is if majority of Kenyans are unemployed? This is a time bomb that he should really be praying that he doesn't get himself into. And the people who are advising the president are misadvising him. A country with majority people who are unemployed is a dangerous country. You know, according to them, they're looking at it politically that when people are unemployed, then they will throng your rallies. And you'll be giving them bribes during campaigns. But they're not turning the coin and realize that this is a dangerous nation when people are unemployed. This is what took even people to the street when Gen Z started. They just needed a trigger. Most of them were saying, tumemaliza shule, tunajaribu kufanya biashara, the environment is really toxic. And I think this attempt to gag the media must be resisted at all cost. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.